Welcome back to the Intercourse Show. I am just now seeing breaking news. It seems like President Trump is about to do a special conference at the White House, and he weighs in and updates the American people on the Iran war. So we're going to join that now. Let's go ahead and jump in, and then we'll comment during his speech.
Timeline for this conflict. President Trump already today suggesting in an interview that what he called the big wave of attacks hasn't even started yet, even after the attacks we saw over the weekend. And with 4 American service members killed already, the president has braced the nation for the possibility of more U.S. casualties to come. Let's get to Monica Alba, who is live for us at the White House. Monica, we'll listen in when the president begins to speak. But so far, since these strikes began, the president has not ruled out the possibility of American boots on the ground in Iran.
In fact, Hallie, it almost seems like he is preparing Americans for that possibility. And these will be the president's first public remarks since he did order Operation Epic Fury Friday night into Saturday morning. He has released those pre-recorded videos laying out some of the initial objectives of this massive ongoing military operation, but he hasn't given a lengthy or public address to the American people to explain what the end game might be here, how this does conclude, how long this could take. He's indicating it could be anywhere from 4 to 5 weeks, or that could extend. The president also hasn't discussed necessarily what the regime change plan could be here for Iran, acknowledging that dozens of leaders, he says, in Iran have been taken out, have been killed by joint U.S. and Israeli strikes. But when asked what the leadership future may look like for Iran, the president says it is unclear, and it is unclear, Hallie, what role.
This is where I think President Trump potentially might be making a big mistake. He has totally changed the whole narrative around his presidency because this situation is not something that's just going to be a 2-3 week matter that he's going to resolve. So the fact that they're now saying it's possible that he didn't rule out boots on the ground.
We'll listen in to the president speaking now. President Trump in the East Room.
And thank everybody for being here, and please feel free to sit.
Has Kyrie texted you back?
I don't want to talk about it.
How's the math test?
Don't want to talk about it.
So before we begin this important ceremony, and there's no ceremony that can be much more important than this, let me provide a brief update on Operation Epic Fury. Today, the United States military continues to carry out large-scale combat operations in Iran to eliminate the grave threats posed to America by this terrible terrorist regime. Following our obliteration of Iran's nuclear program in Operation Midnight Hammer a short while ago, we warned Iran not to make any attempt to rebuild at a different location because they were unable to use the ones that we so powerfully blew up. But they ignored those warnings and refused to cease their pursuit of nuclear weapons. In addition, the regime's conventional ballistic missile program was growing rapidly and dramatically, and this posed a very clear, colossal threat to America and our forces stationed overseas. The regime already had missiles capable of hitting Europe and our bases, both local and overseas, and would soon have had missiles capable of reaching our beautiful America. The purpose of this fast-growing missile program was to shield their nuclear weapon development and make it extraordinarily difficult for anyone to stop them from making these highly forbidden by us nuclear weapons. We were the ones that were complaining. We were the ones that wanted it stopped, but everybody was behind us. They just didn't have the courage to say so. An Iranian regime armed with long-range missiles and nuclear weapons would be an intolerable threat to the Middle East, but also to the American people. Our country itself would be under threat, and it was very nearly under threat. I was very proud to have knocked out the Iran nuclear deal by President Barack Hussein Obama. That was a horrible, horrible, dangerous document. They would have had nuclear weapons 3 years ago, and they would have used them. But I'll not let that happen. For almost 47 years, this regime has been attacking the United States and killing Americans. Every time you see someone with missing arms and legs or a face that's been absolutely shattered violently, it was almost certainly caused by an Iran roadside bomb. They were put there by General Soleimani, who was the father of the roadside bomb. Very proudly, he thought, but I terminated him in my first term. This was our last best chance to strike what we're doing right now and eliminate the intolerable threats posed by this sick and sinister regime. And they are indeed sick and sinister. Our objectives are clear. First, we're destroying Iran's missile capabilities, and you see that happening on an hourly basis, and their capacity to produce brand new ones, and pretty good ones they make. Second, we're annihilating their Navy. We've knocked out already 10 ships. They're at the bottom of the sea. Third, we're ensuring that the world's #1 sponsor of terror can never obtain a nuclear weapon, never going to have a nuclear weapon. I said that from the beginning. They're never going to have a nuclear weapon. They were on the road to getting one legitimately through a deal that was signed foolishly by our country. And finally, we're ensuring that the Iranian regime cannot continue to arm, fund, and direct terrorist armies outside of their borders. And we thought we had a deal, but then they backed out. And they came back, and we thought we had a deal, and they backed out. I said, you can't deal with these people. You got to do it the right way. Today, we grieve for the 4 heroic American service members who have been killed in action and send our love and support to their families. In their memory, we continue this mission with ferocious, unyielding resolve to crush the threat this terrorist regime poses to the American people, and a threat indeed it is. We have the strongest and most powerful by far military in the world, and we will easily prevail. We're already substantially ahead of our time projections, but whatever the time is, it's okay. Whatever it takes, we will always, and we have right from the beginning, we projected 4 to 5 weeks, but we have capability to go far longer than that. We'll do it. Whatever somebody said today, they said, oh, well, if the president wants to do it really quickly. After that, he'll get bored. I don't get bored. There's nothing boring about this. Do you agree with that, Pete? I don't think there's anything, Mr. General. I think there's nothing boring about it. Somebody actually said from the media, I think he'll get bored after about a week or two. No, we don't get bored. I never get bored. If I got bored, I wouldn't be standing here right now. I guarantee you that, to go through what I had to go through. We also projected 4 weeks to terminate the military leadership. And as you know, that was done in about an hour. So we're ahead of schedule there by a lot. But please join me in thanking every American service member who bravely is standing in harm's way. They really are incredible. And I just want to thank you. We have a lot of them right here. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you, everybody. We have a lot of great service members here with us, too, in this beautiful building. Isn't it beautiful? We're adding on to the building a little bit. We're improving the building. See that nice drape? When that comes down right now, you see a very, very deep hole. But in about 1.5 years from now, you're going to see a very, very beautiful building. And there's your entrance to it right there. In fact, it looks so nice, I think I'll save money on the doors, because it can't get more beautiful than that. I picked those drapes in my first term. I always like gold, but I think we can save a lot of money. I just saved curtains, but and it'll be spectacular. It'll be the most beautiful ballroom. I believe it's because I built many a ballroom. I believe it's going to be the most beautiful ballroom anywhere in the world. And when you hear all that hammering out there, you know why the First Lady is not thrilled exactly. She said, will the pile drivers ever stop? You know, they go from 6 in the morning till 11:30 in the evening. Can you imagine? Here? You know what? To me, that's a beautiful sound. She doesn't like it. I love it. You know what? To me, other than here, because we're donating it, not a penny to the taxpayer. It'll be under budget, ahead of schedule. It'll be 400 million or less.
President Trump with an aside there about the ballroom that he is building across from the East Room of the White
Okay, we're transitioning here. As you can see, Trump made his comments about the war and just kind of gave a little bit of update. He gave a little bit of a timeline of what he thought it was going to take 4 to 5 weeks to get everything addressed. I don't know, man. I'm rooting for Donald Trump. I want to see him succeed as the president of the United States. I'm praying for him because, you know, Bible says we got to pray for our leaders. So I want to see him win. There were two sides that were trying to tell him why not to go into a conflict with Iran, because it's a thing that can drag out. And what you may think is an in and out operation may potentially drag out into something far more. Now, potentially, he's talking about boots on the ground and didn't take it off the table. Hopefully, it doesn't get there. But I just, you know, I pray that he's you know, well advised on what he's doing. Hopefully this doesn't leave a stain on his legacy and what he's done so far that I thought have been pretty decent thus far. But we'll just have to watch to see what happens with President Trump and this war situation. Again, I encourage people to just pray that cooler heads will prevail and somehow, somewhere, a ceasefire, something will happen where it stops, because this could drag on for much longer than I think he anticipates. It's just my opinion. I'm no military expert. I'm sure he's got all the experts with him advising him. But there's a lot of people that said this can get a little messy, especially because this is so much deeper than just, you know, conflict between two parties. This issue between these two parties, Israel and Iran, go back so far that that I just don't know you can solve that in 2 weeks. So but we'll have to see what happens with that. I did want to share you guys a little bit of a clip. Definitely go to NBC News channel if you want to get more information about this. But this is just the extent of it that I wanted to share. And weigh in. Let me know what you guys think. Whether or not this will be a short thing, or whether or not Trump tied his hands by getting himself involved in a potential conflict with Iran, especially at the scale where the supreme leader of that country has been murdered. So we will leave it there, but definitely weigh in. Let me know what you guys think. All right, guys. Talk to you soon.